Hello my dear church boys and welcome back to yet another episode of St. Robert's Daygame podcast. And in this podcast episode I'm gonna talk about AA, about different tips and tricks I use with my coaching students who have stronger AA, because recently many guys who have chosen to work with me have had pretty strong AA. Maybe it's because I published several videos with me coaching guys with very strong AA and showed how I helped them deal with it. Maybe it's because many guys know my story about my AA when I started, because I'll tell the story at the end of the podcast, but trust me, my AA when I started was worse than 99.9% of daygamers. It was completely crazy, next level, but I still found ways to deal with it. And even now I sometimes have AA, but I've just learned to deal with that. As always, remember that this is a podcast, this is an audio experience, and I'm only doing this in front of a camera because some people prefer to look at my face. So if you're doing something around your house, walking around, driving your car, put your phone away, just listen to it. I don't think there's any added value in the video part of this podcast episode. In this podcast episode, I'll give you a list or like a bunch of things, bunch of tools I use with people. There are a lot of them. Of course, there are a lot more that I can use, but these are the ones that I use the most often and that work for the most people. So when you are listening to this podcast, if you hear something that you think might work for you, or you feel it's something you are not doing, or maybe it's something that you really don't want to do, or you don't like hearing it, maybe those are the things you should actually try. So before we get into this topic, let's talk about the latest things, what's happening, where am I, what's with the coaching spots, etc. So I'm still in Riga, Latvia, where I'm spending a few months this summer, the city where I'm originally from. I'm coaching a second student here, Mr. H. I published a vlog, part 1, about me coaching him in Riga. Great guy, gets technical parts of Daygame pretty fast, is pretty good at implementing them, had pretty strong AA when he was not with me, when he was on his own, but we, for the most part, have dealt with it already. I'm gonna tell you more about it in the second part of my vlog about coaching him. About coaching spots, I am free until June 21st. I'm in Riga, Latvia, so if you decide to come over to learn Daygame with me here, whenever you come, we can stretch out your coaching days, whether it's 3 or 5 days, throughout all this period. So instead of doing 3 or 5 days in a row, we can do like 2 days of coaching, a few days off for your day gaming in your own, then we do 1 more day, a few days on your own, etc, etc. This is one of the best things you can do when learning Daygame, is to stretch out the sessions, just because you will not only learn Daygaming when I'm next to you, which is what guys learn when they go on boot camps, when they get coaching, and then they go back home and they realize, oh fuck, I can only Daygame when there is coach next to me, and they don't learn to Daygame on their own. And this is why I'm very often offering this opportunity to stretch out the coaching days. So if you want to do something in Riga, Latvia, and then we have an opportunity like this until May 21st, then most of July is fully booked. I have 1 more spot left in July. I am going to Stockholm, Sweden, a place with tall, hot blondes. I've heard there is much more feminism than in other countries, so if you are maybe from Western Europe, from Germany, Switzerland, many of the countries where the dating culture has become more westernized, so to say, I think Sweden is a great opportunity, because you will learn in a environment that reflects where you will be daygaming when you're actually back at your country. And come on, let's agree that Scandinavian girls are really fucking hot. I will be there for 2 weeks, so whoever I'm coaching there, we will be stretching out the coaching days over this period of 2 weeks. And then again, most of August I'm already booked. I have 2 guys coming over from New Zealand to work with me, and I have 1 more coaching spot left in August. There will be a chance to spread it out a little bit, but not like in June or not even like in Sweden, but we will still be able to stretch out the sessions a bit more. In September I will be going on some crazy day game adventure, probably somewhere to Middle East or something like that, and I'll take 3 students with me there, but that's kind of still not clear. I don't know what's happening. So as of now, I until the end of this coaching season have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coaching spots left. If you want to find out more, if you want to sign up, then there's a link in the description. Fill the form at the bottom of that page. I'll get back to you with all the information, cities, dates, prices, etc. I will hop on a short WhatsApp call to discuss all the details. And now, with all of this being said, let's start talking about approach anxiety. And what we're gonna do is, I have a bunch of notes written down on my laptop, so I'm just gonna have my laptop in front of me and I'm gonna talk about everything that's here, all the points, and then discuss each one of them, and let's see how this goes. By the way, as you know, my YouTube videos are more for people with who want some action in the videos and have shorter attention span, kind of people that are just kind of dabbling around in day game. But the podcasts are the part where I go pretty deep in explaining deeper theory, in explaining very technical things. So this is more for the guys that are kind of more serious about learning day game. Let's put it like that. Okay, thing number 1 is have a plan and stick to it. And what do I mean with this? If you watched a vlog about me coaching Mr. H in Riga, when he did a session on his own, when he was day gaming and I was in the apartment listening to his sets, I gave him 3-step process. Step number 1, go to a place with most people. Why? Because sometimes guys are walking around and they are subconsciously choosing streets with less people, or walking on the side of the street where there aren't many people. And then they say, well, there weren't any girls, I didn't see anyone. Yes, because you subconsciously skipped step 1, you didn't go to the best places for day game, the places with most people. It might seem silly, but this is actually something I see people do when I let them choose the streets they want to day game on. So that's not number 1. Choose, go to a place where there are the most people. Step number 2, start with a hit and run. Open a girl she doesn't have to be hot, she doesn't have to be whatever, like just average girl. We'll talk later about how to filter out who you should open and who you shouldn't open. Do a hit and run on an average girl, and then step number 3, do a set without choosing a girl too much. Just average girl is fine. She doesn't have to be hot. She can be too tall, too short, too old, too princessy, too hipster, whatever your weasels are, whatever you're saying the reasons are for not opening her. She can be all of those things, because all you're doing is overcoming AA and getting those first conversations in. So that's how you start. Go to the best location, do 1 hit and run, and then do 1 set. Point number 2, let's talk about hit and runs a little bit more, which is a whole separate point. When you are doing a hit and run, you don't have to, again, pick the best, hottest girl or whatever. You have to pick any girl within maybe 2 minutes after starting a session, 5 minutes, whatever you want. But the important part is when you are doing a hit and run, why is it so scary to open a girl? Because you don't know what's gonna happen in the conversation. You don't know, oh, what do I say next? What do I say when this happens? Da 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 da. So what you do when you're doing a hit and run to avoid this fear of what is the next thing you can say is you do a hit and run, and whatever her reaction is, you leave. Even if she says, oh my god, dude, that is so amazing, hey, let's go to my place, you're such a cool dude, I wanna give you a blowjob, let's go. You say, have a nice day, and you leave. When you are doing hit and run with knowing that 100% you are not gonna continue the set, whatever her reaction is, you don't have to think about, oh, what's the next thing I'm gonna say, and what if she says this, what if she says that. You're just getting your gears going by doing 1 hit and run and leaving right after you're done with it. Okay, now let's talk about weasels. Point number 3. If you started thinking, oh no, this girl is too old. By the way, this is a big one, guys. If you think she is too old, she is too tall, she is not hot enough, or whatever else reason you have for not opening her, drumroll please, you already noticed her and your brain started coming up with reasons to get you out of this stressful situation where you have to talk to a girl, where you have to do something super scary. That is because your brain already saw her as a girl you might like, as a cute girl. So obviously every time you think she's too old, too tall, too whatever, you have to open. If you think she's too young, of course sometimes they're too young, you have to understand that, but there is a simple way to find out if she's too young. You open, you chat with her and she says, oh, I'm in high school, you wish her a nice day, and you leave, and that's it. You don't have to do anything stupid. Can't say that word, I think. You don't have to do anything stupid. Just follow of course, some logic. But if you started coming up with weasels, that already means you should have opened her. And you can test your weasels, of course. For example, my most popular weasel in Riga when I was living here was, I have already opened her. And it was a legit concern because maybe I've done like 1,500 sets in Riga when this started. And I was thinking, yeah, I remember opening her, because there were some cases where I opened the girl like 2 times, or there is a girl that I've opened several girls 3 times. And I've heard crazier stories than that in Riga. So there was a legit concern that I've opened that girl. But what I did at one point, I saw one girl in Serbia and I thought, oh, I've already opened her, I can't open her. And then I understood she reminded me of a girl from a completely different country. So it was like, it was clear that it was just my brain coming up with a stupid weasel not to open a girl. So I started testing this weasel. Whenever I thought, oh, I've opened this girl, I would still go in and open and see if that was the case, and almost never that was the case. I realized that was my brain tricking me out of doing sets, and I stopped doing it. I just started opening even I thought I have opened her before. Okay, point number 4. Timer between sets. So don't waste too much time walking around. What you can do is you can simply take your phone and set a stopwatch, whatever you want to do. If you are in a place like London or New York or any busy city with many people, you don't need more than 2 minutes between sets. If you are in a place like Riga or other smaller places, even Prague, 5 minutes between sets, you don't need more than that. And the rule is extremely simple. Let's say you are 30 minutes into this timer thing, 30 seconds, and you saw an average girl, and you know she's too tall, too old, too whatever, it doesn't matter. And you're just like, I'm not gonna open her, I'm gonna wait for something better, someone better. And then a few minutes later, you have 30 seconds left on a timer, there is no one around you, just one girl that's definitely you're definitely not gonna like her. Maybe you know, fucking grandma, yeah. And well, you are taking no more than 5 minutes between sets, and there is a grandma, and you skipped the average girl before. Well, now you have to open a grandma. It's very simple, and this simply teaches you that you have to open whoever you see. Even if it's an average girl, you have to open her until you get to 10 sets in 2 hours regularly. And if you do that, then you can start saying, oh, she's this, she's that, I don't want to open that, I'm going to wait for someone hotter. Because unless you're doing 10 sets in 2 hours, all of those voices in your head are just AA talking you out of doing sets. And yes, you shouldn't always daygame. The goal of daygame obviously isn't to daygame average girls, but if you're doing less than 10 sets in 2 hours, then whatever it takes to get to those 10 sets, that's what you have to do. So set timer between sets, and if you don't open anyone in those 5 minutes, well, and there's a hot grandma coming, she will enjoy that conversation. By the way, I have opened the grandma in Latvia once before, just as like as a joke, like a sort of like a hold my beer type of scenario. Okay, number oh wait, let me write down one more thing I want to talk about later. No half-assing. Okay. Number 6. I have been taking cold showers for something like 4.5 years, and I haven't skipped a single morning except when I have a fresh tattoo, I'm sick, or for whatever reason, like maybe I'm in a nature or something where I'm just not taking a shower. And when you're taking, so I start with a warm shower, and then once I've washed, I will brush my teeth under cold shower. So I will be in a shower, I'll turn the water to cold, and I'll brush my teeth. And sometimes I really don't want to do it. Let's say I'm hangover. I'm like, I'm barely alive, I don't want to do it. And my body says, I really don't want to have this cold shower. And what I would say is, or what I would do is, well, I didn't ask you, and I would turn the water to cold and still take a cold shower. So what I'm talking here, I'm not saying you have to take cold showers. I'm saying whatever your body is saying, you can try to open in spite of having an AA. You can tell your body, fuck you on your AA, I'm still opening this hot shit because that's what I want to do. And whatever you think is none of my fucking business, I don't care about it, and you still do your set. So that's just a different way to look at it, trying to do things in spite of your AA. Because each time you have AA, you have a reason not to open. Each time you let yourself weasel out of opening, you are building a habit. You're building a habit of following your weasels. So that's going to be the habit you're going to develop, and that's how you're going to day game for a long time. Each time you say, fuck you to your weasels, and you actually do the set in spite of having crazy AA, you're building a habit of overcoming your fears. So that's just another way to look at AA. Okay, now let's talk about 2 things that really helped me when I had AA when I was starting out. Because my AA, as I said, I'll tell the story at the end of the podcast, but my AA was pretty crazy. And I was watching YouTube videos, many YouTube videos about AA, and some of them helped me a lot. And there were 2 specific techniques or ideas that helped me. One was, I don't remember who was this from. Maybe it was from, and I'm in no way promoting or saying you should do anything with James Marshall or anyone from his team. This is not what I'm saying on this video. You know my opinions about natural game, yeah. But it was either James Marshall or someone from RSD. The question is, what's the worst thing that can happen in a day game set? So when you open a girl, so let's say you are on a shopping street and you stop a girl, and well, what could be the really, you have to think about is, what's the worst ever case scenario? Maybe she just rejects you, right? She just looks at you weird and just walks around you. Maybe, and this happens a lot, it's fine. Maybe she just like looks at you with like disgust, oh, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, or maybe she tells you fuck off, or maybe she just says something, you're weird, what the fuck are you doing, you stupid fuck, and she just walks around you and that's it. Maybe someone around sees that, oh, this girl rejected you, and now they think, oh, this guy's a fucking lunatic. Maybe the girl stops there, starts laughing at you. People around you notice that she's laughing at you. Everyone understands what's happening with you. Everyone understands this girl is rejecting this guy. This guy is probably a fucking pussy. What the fuck is this weirdo doing talking to a girl on the street? Everyone is standing around you in a circle, pointing at you with a finger and saying, ah, this fucking loser, he's a piece of shit, ha. And then you're standing there, and all of a sudden you're naked and your dick is out, and everyone's pointing at your dick and laughing at you, and it's fucking like, and then there's some white knight comes along and he says, oh my god, this idiot talked to this hot girl, and that guy is her boyfriend, and he's like a biker tattooed guy, and he fucking beats you up, and police come and police arrest you, and you go to jail, and you get raped in jail. Oh my god, all these terrible things could happen. Or whatever the worst case scenario is that you can come up with. And then you have to ask, what is worse? This thing happening, or you never learning to overcome AA and never learning to day game, and you keep living your life the way you're living it now, dating the girls you're dating right now. What is worse? Quite of a mindfuck, right? When you think about the answer. Okay, let's go to the next point. Why isn't my fucking laptop turning on? Fuck. Anyways, I have those points saved on my phone as well, so I'll just switch to that. And another thing that helped me, and I switched to phone because my laptop just battery died. Another thing that helped me a lot when overcoming AA, and I do think this was from James Marshall, but again, maybe I'm wrong, is thinking about how you see AA and what you perceive it as. So if you think of AA as this extremely strong, and AA, when you have AA, it's so big, it's really hard to overcome it. It's just this massive force that is inside you, and it stops you from talking to talking to a girl, and it's very hard to overcome this massive force, and that's true. Sometimes AA is really hard to overcome. But then another thing you can do is you can look at the physical symptoms of how AA is showing up in your body. Maybe you are having a very dry throat. Maybe your neck is your throat is kind of have this squeezing feeling. Maybe in your throat. Maybe in your chest. Maybe you feel butterflies in your stomach. Maybe you are sweating. Maybe you have a tingling feeling somewhere. There are very many physical ways AA can be felt in your body. So. And usually each guy has one or two ways, and mine, I think, was a weird feeling, a tight feeling in the top of my chest, in the throat, kind of like a choking feeling. And then you can ask, can I open a girl when I have this huge AA cloud over me, this huge powerful feeling that I can't deal with? Can you do that? No. But another question is, can you open a girl with a weird feeling in your throat? Can you open a girl with a kind of weird feeling in your belly, or a tight feeling in your chest, or a dry feeling in your throat? Can you open a girl? Can you say hi, do a hit and run when your heart is beating a little bit faster? So instead of focusing at this huge thing of AA, you find the exact physical way it is it appears as in your body, and instead you ask, can I do it while I'm having this weird feeling? Okay, now the next points we are gonna talk about. The next one is let's say you are out and you thought, oh, I'm gonna do 70 fucking sets, I'm gonna be the day game king or whatever, or I'm gonna do 10 sets, I'm gonna do 5 sets, whatever your goal was, and you feel that it's just AA is too strong and you cannot really do that. It's still very good to end your session on a positive note, end your session with a win. So you can always, however bad your session is, you can always ask, what is the smallest thing, the smallest victory I can get from this day game session? So maybe you went out with the goal to do 10 sets, but instead you did 5, that's already a win. Maybe you think instead of doing 5, you realize, oh my god, it's so bad. You can ask yourself, can I just do 1 set? Is this something I can realistically achieve in this session? Can I have this small win? If not, can you do 1 hit and run? If not, maybe you really realize, today I cannot even do a hit and run. Maybe you can go to a store and you buy, like a coffee shop, you buy coffee, you buy tea, and when you thank the barista, you just use her name, or if it's a dude, his name, it doesn't really matter. Can you make a bit of banter with that barista or not? Maybe you can just use her name, like pick a barista that's a dude, that's a chick, it's obviously better. Or if you go to a store and you buy something, again, thank the people behind the cash register, thank them using their name. Again, it's something a bit kind of to overcome the fears. Maybe you can do an indirect approach, but think, what is the smallest thing you can do to end this day as a victory especially, like specifically in the field of day game. Also, wait, what did I want to say? Oh, let's say you are in your apartment and you really don't want to go out and you really don't want to day game. Well, can you at least get dressed, leave your apartment, go for a walk, like just look at girls and practice stacking in your head. You can walk down the street and you can look at this girl. Oh, she looks like da 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 da. What's the stack you could use? By the way, if you wanna learn to come up with good stacks, then watch the advanced stacking video on my YouTube channel. That shit will really teach you stacking. So can you at least do that? Can you at least leave your apartment, look at the girls, and practice stacking in your head? What's the smallest win you can have? And all of these techniques, by the way, that I'm talking about here, every single one of them I used to overcome my AA when I was learning Daygame. No, like, okay, except this one. Actually, no, this one as well. Next point, don't stay out for more than 2 hours. If you've been out for 2 hours and you've done 3 opens, like, there's no point of to keep going. Just go home, enjoy your win. You did 3 sets. That is really cool. 3 hit and runs, whatever. Maybe you're out for an hour and you haven't done even a single hit and run. Think what's the smallest thing you can do. At least you left your apartment. Maybe you practiced some stacking by looking at the girls on the street. Go home. It's 1 hour. You haven't done a single open. There isn't a lot of point to keep going. Just the likelihood of you doing a set after you've been walking around for an hour is extremely low. So don't stay out for more than 2 hours. You're just gonna be more tired, and then the more tired you get, when you go out the next day, it's gonna be much harder just because you will be physically tired. So it's better to do a bit less so that you can still go out tomorrow and do something in the next day as well. Consistency is more important than quantity. It's more important how often you go out in the beginning. Yeah. Afterward, later it changes. But in the beginning, it's more important how often you're going out than how many sets you're doing each time you go out. And talking about this, lower your expectations towards yourself. Very few guys can do 10 sets in a session when they are starting out. And if you're listening to this podcast, then you're probably not one of them, and that is normal. You're scared, you're learning Daygame. Your Daygame skills are fairly limited, most likely right now. But the thing is, it's the same for most guys, and that's fine. The stories you hear on some YouTube channels and podcasts and whatever else, like these videos that people show, how they're coaching someone that the student did so good and talked to all the girls. You don't know the whole story. Many of these videos are showing you curated experiences that the author, the coach, wants you to see. He's showing the best parts of how student is learning. He's showing the students that did the best. He's maybe not showing some really bad examples. And that's why in my vlogs, when I start filming a vlog, I never know how it's gonna end. Maybe this guy is never gonna overcome his AA, and you've seen, if you've been watching my vlogs and you've seen me coaching guys, and at the end of the video, I tell, like, I don't know if this guy will overcome AA. By the way, I did 2 videos like that, and both of them overcame their AA after coaching. But I don't know if they're still gaming, but at least they were able to go out on their own, and they even got some more Daygame plays on their own. But most of these stories you hear, they are exceptions, and that the average Daygamer isn't doing that great. So when you are starting, I'm not saying the average coaching students, I mean the average Daygamer, average guy you read messages from on the group chat or wherever else, yeah, or like Twitter, or most of them aren't doing that great, and that's kind of fine, you know, like, you're not special just because you're struggling with your AA. That is completely fucking normal. Most people are in the same boat. You're just seeing very curated, very specific experiences that don't reflect the average Daygamer in the world. So don't compare yourself to others. People are very, very different. I've worked with guys who are struggling with AA. I've worked with guys who are struggling with remembering what to say, or like, everyone is struggling with their own thing in Daygame, and everyone has had different experiences before Daygame. For example, I've always kind of been on the stage in front of people, being in front of camera right now. Like, a lot of people cannot do that. It's too scary for them. So maybe for me, because I've pushed through it before in my life, I've learned how I can deal with those things, and then right now I'm not really give a fuck what other people are thinking. And now let's talk about wings. If some guys who struggle with AA, they're going out with wings, but you have to understand that if you go out with a wing and don't do a ton of sets when you are with this wing, and you try this a few times and you realize like you're still doing 1-2 sets per session, don't go out with that wing ever again. Like, that's it. Like, most likely going out with him, the thing isn't just helping you. Or maybe you're two guys in the same boat that are trying to go out with each other to kind of deal with this AA thing, and you think, oh, if I go out with him, it will help me, and he's thinking the same thing, and you're still not doing sets, you're still talking about game theory, but you're not really doing any sets. So test out a wing, do a few sessions with him, and if you get to doing a lot of sets, great, keep going out with that wing. But if you don't, then, well, don't waste your time, because even if you can succeed when going out with a wing, the goal in Daygame is to learn to go out solo. There are so many guys who can go out with wings, can rely on wings, and in the beginning that is fine, but you have to slowly move away from wings. You have to learn to go out on your own. Also, when I was starting out, I was going out with many other guys because it was much easier for my AA to overcome it if I was with someone else. But don't waste your time if you see that this wing doesn't really work with you, work for you. Okay, and the last thing I want to talk about, get help. If you've tried overcoming AA for a few months on your own and it still hasn't worked for you, like, honest to God, and I'm not saying this to sell coaching spots, because when the coaching season is on, most of my coaching spots are sold out. Like, for this summer, I have like a few spots left. I don't really care about selling them. Like, they will sell themselves pretty easily, because a lot of people want to learn Daygame. But if you've tried this for a few months and you haven't dealt with AA on your own, get help. Get a coach. I've worked with many people who have AA and different types of AA, and as you see, there are many things I told you about today in this podcast, but there are many other options for overcoming AA, dealing with fear, etc. And it's usually like kind of finding the right solutions for this specific person. Let's put it like that. I probably know more about overcoming AA and helping others overcome AA than almost any wing in the whole world. Yeah, you have a few coaches that have a lot of experience, and yeah, I really think I have more experience in helping guys overcome AA than definitely any wing who's gonna do it, or even like a lot of the coaches. So seriously, if you have been struggling for more than a few months with AA, then, well, get a coach. And in general, my opinion is, if you haven't learned Daygame and haven't gotten laid within the first 6 months of Daygaming, the chances of you succeeding on your own, and this is a very harsh thing to say, but the chances of you succeeding on your own are extremely slow. The guys that learned Daygame, that I know that are learning Daygame on their own, most of them, almost all of them, learn it within the first 6 months. And if they haven't done it within the first 6 months, then those are the same guys that will be talking about the same problems they're having years later, and nothing will really change. So if you didn't learn it fast, then get a fucking coach and boom. Okay, that's it for this podcast as far as the things you can do for your AA goes, and as I said, there were many things, and just see which one of those would be the most useful for you to try. because you can't try all of them, but think, okay, what's the one thing I could try in my next day game session, and simply do that. And I told you I would tell my AA story, how I started. So I started day gaming. Well, I had two starts. I had like one back in the day before Tom Torero. Let's actually put it like that. It was before Tom Torero became popular, and that's when I started. And I went out. I watched all these theory videos, the Daygame blueprint from the daygame.com guys, just like the old school kind of Daygame 2.0, this the kind of the comfort-based Daygame. But it was an amazing way to learn about the technicalities of Daygame. I watched so many videos on that, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna Daygame, and I went out and I was looking for a girl to open. I was trying to overcome the fear, and I spent 2 hours walking around the streets of Riga, and I decided, well, not today, I'm gonna try again tomorrow. I went out again tomorrow. I walked around more or less 2 hours trying to overcome the fear. I did not, for 2 days in a row, talk to a single girl. I kept going out, I think every day, maybe I skipped a day here or there, but I kept going out almost every day for 2 weeks, doing around 2 hours each session. I went out, maybe in some sessions like less, maybe in some sessions a little bit more. And I did not open a single girl over 2 weeks of this like hardcore going out, watching all the videos, trying all the techniques, everything I could find on AA. And actually what happened is I started chatting with this girl on Facebook, and I went out for like a coffee or something with her at like 11 p.m. and we ended up at her place, and well, things happened, and I woke up the next morning. And on my way back home from her place, I just saw this girl across the street, and it was just like, snap, fuck it, let's go. And that's how I did my first ever day game open. But it took me 2 weeks of going out daily for more or less 2 hours until I overcame the fear for the first time ever. And then after that, of course, I went out again. It was super hard, and I thought, okay, what's the smallest thing I can do? Okay, I can do one set, I can talk to one girl, and I overcame the AA, and I did get my first few day game lays. Then I got in a relationship for a few years. And then was my second start of day gaming. The second time I tried to overcome fear, and after having a few years off, and that was 4.5, 5 years ago, between 4.5 and 5. And I went out again for 2 hours, walked around, couldn't open a single girl, and I went out for a few days. I think on day 3, I opened my first girl, and kind of slowly got back into it. And I learned that starting really simple without big plans is what helped me the most. So I set a goal for this week. This week I'm gonna do this, and then okay, once I completed that, I said, okay, next week I'm gonna talk to one girl every day, and I repeated that week until I had a week where for 7 days, every day I chatted for a girl every single day. And then again, the next week I set myself a little bit higher goal. I said, okay, I'm gonna do this. So and after a while I had this system where I had went from not being able to approach anyone to doing like more or less 25 sets a week, maybe some weeks way less, maybe some weeks way more. And what I did is I actually started giving the same tips to guys I was coaching before I was coaching them, to help them prepare for when we meet, and that way I knew that if they're prepared, if they can go out on their own at least a little bit before me, they're gonna get much more out of coaching. And I tested this with several guys, and it worked, and then I turned it into a coaching program. There's on my webpage, there's this the new Daygamer program. I think if you go to my webpage on like the top menu, you can find it on one of the sub menus, and I tested that, like, and there were a bunch of guys who went through that program, and most of the guys who actually took the time to go out and do the tasks overcame the AA. Of course, like, not everyone went out, because some people's like, oh, I don't have time. Well, that's your problem. I can't help everyone, you know. But yeah, that was the story of my AA. So my AA was really hard, and even now when I'm going out, sometimes I have pretty strong AA, but I have a a big briefcase full of weird tools, weird tricks that I can use to overcome AA, and I still do that. And there's, of course, it's more and more rare when I go out and I can't do a single set, but once in a few months that shit will happen. I'll go out and it's like, oh, whatever, there are no hot girls, I'm going back in. But at the same time, I am consistent. I'm doing a ton of sets when I'm in a place where I want a day game, and I've learned to deal with it, and I helped many guys to deal with it. And if you have AA and you want to deal that, and on top of that learn day game, then as I said in the beginning of the podcast, I have a few coaching spots left until June 21st in Riga, Latvia, where we can spread out your coaching days, which means you will overcome your fear with me, but then we will work on you being able to approach on your own when I'm not next to you, so that when you go back home, you're actually able to approach solo, not just when the coach or wings or whatever is next to you. And I have one more coaching spot left in Sweden in late June, and one more in August. I don't know the location yet, probably Riga, but we'll see that. If you are interested in that, then the link to find out more, is in the description. Fill the form at the bottom of the page. I'll get back to you with all the information, cities, dates, prices, etc. And we will hop on a short WhatsApp call to talk details and figure out if we are the right fit, and if my coaching is the right thing for you. What else? Yes, on my webpage there is a very short and simple 7-day program that helps you do your first ever day game set. It's still a bit fast, so some guys still need more smaller steps, but you can try out that. It's for free, available on my website. I think that's it, guys, for this podcast episode. So thank you for watching. You know the drill: like, subscribe, leave reviews, all of that stuff, blah blah blah. Thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and see you guys in the next podcast. Ciao.